Hi, Mike Hill with Money Matters, talking everything lifestyle, finances, real estate, investments. Today we're going to do something a little bit fun. Hopefully, all of our podcasts are fun, but this one, we always kind of like to dive into the what if scenario because who doesn't think that? There's not a person out there that hasn't bought a lottery ticket. I promise you. And with them buying it, what would I do if I won this? What kind of money would I? This is what a nerd I am. I'm like, well, how much would that be in taxes? Okay, how can I spread that out? How can I shelter that from tax? I mean, that's literally every time I've bought, when it gets up to 500 million or whatever, I buy one, or it got up to a billion one time. And I'm just always thinking, okay, how do I do the tax shelter first? Then how do I make sure not everybody knows about it, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, that's what kind of today's about. Today is more, and hopefully this is something you have to deal with many, many times in your life. But let's just take the scenario, and there's no right or wrong. I just want to kind of give you opinions here. The scenario, you got a raise. Let's say you got a 10% raise. You make $100,000 a year, now you make 110. Well, what do you do with that extra $10,000 a year? So I'm going to give you some scenarios. I'm going to give you answers of what I honestly would do, because I'm going to be completely honest here. But I will say this. The biggest issue I have seen right now when I do retirement budgets and when I'm trying to get people ready for retirement income and using Social Security and things like that, because pensions have gone the way of the dodo bird. Nobody has pensions anymore. 401ks are still pretty up there compared to where they were 5 years ago. So maybe you feel wealthy. But the one issue I always see is people come to me and I make them do a retirement budget when they come in. They have to do it when we're going to do it. I can't build a house without having a blueprint, and there's no charge for it. But I have people all the time, and it's normally the husbands. I pick on them, and I say, about how much do you need a month to live on? Oh, about $7,000. And the wife's kind of over there going, really? And again, I don't want to say anything because I don't know how many Amazon boxes they get at the house or whatever it may be. But every single time they fill out that budget and somebody says 7, it comes back at 9. It's always 2,000 to 3,000 more. And what I have noticed, and I hate this habit that we're falling into as a country in general, is if you make $100, you spend $100. There's no savings. So China, the average Chinese citizen, went from saving 3% of their paycheck to almost 20% of their paycheck. That's on average, and there's a billion of them. So that's where they have really honed in on now, where the middle class has now gotten bigger in China, and they've been taught and learned to save as much as possible. Now, again, the government may take all of it, and I don't want to get shot after this for saying that, but so you get a 10% raise. Do you use that to buy a nicer car? Do you buy that fancier clothes? Do you just do a lot of nice dinners? Because we're only talking 10%. Or do you invest every dollar that you made and keep the same lifestyle you have now? That is something I want you to think about. Because honestly, and if you're watching this, think about that to yourself, or if you're watching this with your spouse, hopefully this burns a conversation. Because the hardest thing I've seen with spouses when talking about money is, it's easy to say, we'll pay the bills. What happens when you get these different scenarios? Normally in most relationships, one's a saver, one's a spender. So, and sometimes you get two savers and don't do anything, and then sometimes you get two spenders and they don't have any money to invest, at the end of the day. I'm going to be honest. Knowing me, I would probably be in the middle. What I mean by that is knowing me and my love for jackets and all that, I might go get me a nice sports jacket. I might maybe spend a little bit more on that vacation that year. But I would absolutely also get excited. Yay, that's more money I can invest. Because I look at when I invest money, I'm earning interest. That's opportunity. That's money that I didn't have to work for. And that's the name of the game. I want to get as close as I can to having all bills paid, regardless if I go to work or not. That should be everybody's goal. So I look at a raise every year as an opportunity for me to get closer and closer to my goal of not paying for any bills out of pocket. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I would probably buy the fiance something nice, or get some points there, or maybe we do a nice trip or something like that. I'm about 50-50, if I'm being honest. So the other scenario I have is, do you dream today or do you dream tomorrow? What I mean by that is, you get your raise. Do you do one, let's say you get a big raise, $20,000 raise, you get a bonus at the end of the year. Do you do 5 really big vacations over 5 years? I mean, 50,000. Let's just say you get a huge bonus. Do you spend it all on 5 vacations? Or do you put it in a Roth IRA, let it earn interest tax-free, and at the end of 10 to 15 to 20 years, now you use just the interest, pull that out tax-free every year to travel the world every year from 65 on during retirement. Now, the argument I could hear already in my head is, Mike, I don't know if I'm going to get to 65. I'd much rather, have some big trips now. Again, being honest, I lie somewhere in the middle. You get a big raise. I'm not saying you go on a fancy trip for 5 years, but you've been blessed. God is blessing you. Bless others with that money, but also, have a little bit of fun with it. Tomorrow is not given. I don't live my life as if I'm going to die tomorrow, but I also want to have some memories while I still have a body to do it. I could have a knee injury. I, God forbid, have an accident tomorrow where I can't walk. So yeah, I want to see Greece. I want to see different parts of the world that I've never got to see. So that might be one thing, but I think it would be irresponsible to just blow it all on 5 or 6 vacations. So my advice is to put as much as you can into a Roth IRA, or we can do what they call a backdoor Roth IRA, where you put money into an IRA and then pay the taxes on it and put it into a Roth. If you don't know what that is, call my office. We'll tell you all about backdoor Roth IRAs. And then the last scenario that I have is, do you buy all the big tech gadgets? Now me, thank God, TVs have gotten cheaper. I am a TV man. When one stops working, it can just be the remote. I'm like, okay, throw it away. Let's go get another one. I mean, when they started having 80-inch TVs for less than $1,000, I was in heaven. I was like, this is ridiculous. I remember being a kid where moving the TV was, you had to have 4 guys to move it, and I was the controller. Michael, go over there and change the channel to 4, 5, or 8. Yeah, 3 channels, kids. Could you imagine? That's all we had. I remember when MASH came on. I hated that show, not because it was a bad show. That meant it was bedtime. That's how old I am. But I remember MASH came on, that stupid theme song, and I had to go to bed. So my point is I'm all about TVs, but thank God they're not as expensive. So I would buy maybe a TV or 2, or would you use it to fund your emergency fund for 6 months? I cannot stress this enough. I'm a big proponent of Dave Ramsey, the snowball effect. I would absolutely tell everybody out there watching this, if you do not have 3 to 6 months in an emergency fund, you need to build that up as fast as possible. Things happen. You could be disabled. You could lose your job. You do not want to go bankrupt. The number one reason for bankruptcy in the United States isn't because I spent too much on credit cards, as hard as that is to believe. It is an extended sickness, or it is an extended injury where you're in the hospital for a long period of time. That has bankrupted more Americans than anything that has to do with credit cards. So my point is if you have emergency funds, et cetera, set up on the side, you would be able to get through the weeds, get through that hard part, because COVID taught us all that. We had family members, all of us know somebody that was affected by COVID and in a very negative way. And you want to see these families have things set up for the side. So that's another thing. Once you get the emergency fund, do you have long-term care set up? What are you going to do when you're 70 and you had to go to a nursing home, or God forbid have a nurse come to your house? Do you have monies for that? When you're younger, do a long-term care policy. Those are things that I want people to think about when they get a raise. Have fun. Have fun. Reward yourself. You earned it. You got that raise for a reason. Have fun. But tomorrow's here sooner than you think. And our goal should be to invest those funds to pay for bills today, not just so we can retire early, so you don't have to work as hard for that big raise that you have. So hopefully I put some fun into it, maybe a little bit too much real life, but I think if you have a question, if you've gotten a raise or you've come into some money or inherited some money and you're trying to figure out what to do, I'm not going to be the advisor that makes you feel guilty of, you got to invest every bit of that. What are you doing? Blah, blah. I get it. I absolutely get it. We want to have a little bit of fun with it. That's why we'll have a separate cash account that's earning good interest. But yes, we should invest the majority of it, but we're going to have some fun with it because I can't give you advice if I'm not doing it myself. And I would have a little bit of fun if I got a raise tomorrow with that money. Promise you. Not all of it. So I'm Mike Hill with Money Matters. Hopefully you enjoyed the green aura of the Wizard of Mike of Oz that we have here. And hopefully you get those raises and God blesses you and enhances your family. I want to wish every one of y'all a very blessed week. Till next time, Mike Hill with Money Matters.